My husband got a paternity test on our 5-year-old daughter behind my back. It came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he wants a divorce, and I'm terrified of losing my family forever. My stomach drops as Michael slides an official-looking paper across our kitchen counter. Without making eye contact, he tells me he's gotten a paternity test. Emma, our 5-year-old daughter, isn't his. The world stops. My ears start ringing like I've been standing too close to an explosion. The spatula I'm holding clatters to the floor, splattering pancake batter across the kitchen tiles. He finally meets my eyes with a cold stare I've never seen before. His jaw is clenched tight as he accuses me of lying to him for years. The evidence seems damning to him. How could two blue-eyed parents have a brown-eyed child? He's convinced it's genetically impossible. I desperately try to explain that I have never been unfaithful, that there must be some mistake with the test. He won't listen. His laugh is hollow, bitter. When I reach for his hand, he pulls away like my touch would burn him. Tears stream down my face as he tells me to get out of the house. His anger escalates until he slams his hand on the counter, shouting at me to leave. Emma's worried voice calls down from upstairs. It breaks my heart hearing the concern in her little voice. Michael composes himself instantly, reassuring her everything is fine. The transition is jarring, almost frightening. This isn't the man I married, the gentle father who spends hours building pillow forts with Emma and reading her bedtime stories with all the character voices. He grabs his keys and leaves for work without another word or glance. The front door closes with a decisive click that feels like the period at the end of a sentence. Michael and I met during sophomore year of college. I was studying graphic design. He was in computer science. We literally bumped into each other at the campus coffee shop during finals week. I spilled my latte all over his programming textbook. He was easy to talk to, with a quiet confidence that made me feel comfortable immediately. Our first real date was at a tiny Italian restaurant where the owner knew Michael by name. He'd been going there since freshman year and had helped the owner's son set up the restaurant's website for free. That was Michael, always helping people, never expecting anything in return. We were inseparable after that. Through the rest of college, through my internship in Chicago where we did long distance for 6 months, through his mom's breast cancer scare and my dad's heart attack. 4 years after we met, he proposed at that same coffee shop where I'd spilled my latte. When we decided to try for a baby 2 years into our marriage, I got pregnant within 3 months. We were ecstatic. The pregnancy was textbook perfect. Michael came to every appointment, recorded every ultrasound on his phone, talked to my belly every night. He painted the nursery himself, a soft yellow with white clouds. The day Emma was born was the happiest day of our lives. 26 hours of labor, and Michael never left my side. When they placed Emma on my chest, this squirming, red-faced miracle, I looked up to see Michael crying openly. He kissed my forehead and whispered how amazing I was, how perfect our daughter was. For 5 years, we've been the family I'd always dreamed of having. I have hundreds of photos of the two of them together, making silly faces, covered in flour from baking experiments, asleep on the couch with the same exact expression on their faces. How could she not be his? It doesn't make any sense. For 3 months before the paternity test confrontation, something changed. Michael started coming home late, being distracted during meals and constantly checking his phone. He claimed he was just stressed about a project at work. I believed him at first. The software company where he works was implementing a new system with tight deadlines. Then he began asking to see my phone repeatedly. The first time, he said he needed to look something up while his phone was charging. I handed it over without thinking, but the request continued, becoming more insistent and suspicious. When I eventually refused unless he explained why, that's when he really pulled away, locking himself in his home office for hours, the sound of his keyboard clicking furiously the only sign he was in there. I've tried everything to reconnect. I planned date nights, bought new lingerie, cooked his favorite meals. Nothing worked. He'd go through the motions, but the wall between us just grew higher. I started having dreams where I was screaming his name but no sound came out, or where I could see him through a glass wall but couldn't break through no matter how hard I pounded. After crying for hours following that horrible morning with the paternity test, I pulled myself together and started researching. There has to be an explanation. I found articles about rare genetic conditions, chimerism, testing errors. I made a list of everything we could check. 1. Repeat the paternity test with a different company. 2. Get a maternal DNA test to confirm I'm Emma's mother. 3. See a genetic counselor about the eye color issue. 4th, test for chimerism, a rare condition where someone has 2 sets of DNA. Check if the hospital had any reported mix-ups around Emma's birth. The last one seems far-fetched, like something from a soap opera, but I included it to be thorough. I highlighted passages about blue-eyed parents who had brown-eyed children due to rare recessive genes or mutations. I printed everything and left it on the kitchen table for Michael. This morning, he was reviewing my notes with bloodshot eyes and dark circles underneath. When I quietly reasserted my innocence from the doorway, he threatened to go scorched earth if the tests proved I was lying. His words felt like a physical blow from this man who'd once promised to love me forever. He left without answering when I asked what would happen if the tests proved my innocence. But this afternoon, he texted that he'd schedule comprehensive genetic tests for all 3 of us. It isn't much, but it's something. I don't know what will happen next. I'm terrified of losing my family, of Emma growing up in a broken home because of a mistake or misunderstanding. I know I never cheated. I know Emma is our daughter. Now, I just have to prove it. Update. The last 2 weeks have been a nightmare. Michael is sleeping in the guest room and barely speaks to me except about logistics for Emma's school and activities. I can't eat or sleep properly, constantly feeling nauseated from anxiety. I'm having panic attacks in the shower where Emma can't hear me, sitting on the tile floor with water streaming over me as I gasp for breath. Emma, perceptive as always, knows something is wrong. She asked if we were fighting as I tucked her in last night. I tried keeping my voice steady as I explained we were just working through some grown-up stuff, promising our love for her would never change. I held held her close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, wondering how our perfect little world shattered so completely. The parental testing facility was sterile and cold. We each had cheek swabs taken, and they drew blood for a more comprehensive analysis. Emma thought it was part of a regular doctor's checkup. The technician maintained professionalism, but kept giving us concerned glances, probably wondering why a seemingly normal family needed these tests. We're told it will take 5 to 7 business days for results. Each day is crawling by. I can't focus at work, making careless mistakes in my design projects. I keep checking my phone, jumping at every notification, dreading and hoping for the call that will either condemn me or vindicate me. Update 2. We just received the results. Michael put the call on speakerphone in our kitchen. I stood across from him, gripping the counter until my knuckles turned white, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "We've run the tests twice to confirm," the technician said, her voice crisp and professional. "The child is not biologically related to either of you." The phone slipped from Michael's hand, clattering on the countertop. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the silence that followed. We stared at each other in shock. Michael's face drained of color, his blue eyes standing out starkly. The anger that had burned there for weeks was replaced by confusion, then dawning horror. The realization crashed over us simultaneously. The hospital switched our baby. Update 3. Everything is happening fast now. The hospital initially denied anything could have happened, their legal team obviously concerned about liability. The woman on the phone used phrases like extremely unlikely and our protocols prevent such occurrences, but when presented with the DNA evidence, their tone changed. They've launched an internal investigation while we filed a police report. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I imagine another woman holding my biological daughter while I went home with hers. I picture a little girl with my eyes or Michael's smile, being raised by strangers. Does she have my artistic tendencies? Michael's analytical mind? Is she happy? Do they read her bedtime stories with all the voices? And what about Emma? Sweet, innocent Emma who has no idea her world is about to change. I've started sleeping in her room, watching her breathe, terrified someone will take her away. She is my daughter. I have raised her, loved her, bandaged her knees, and soothed her nightmares. DNA be damned, she is mine. I've searched online for support groups or resources for parents in our situation, but found almost nothing. Just tabloid articles with sensationalized headlines about baby switch shock, and a few fiction books using the scenario as a dramatic plot device. It feels like we're alone in the most surreal nightmare imaginable. Michael and I are both in shock, but for the first time in months, we're united. The wall between us crumbled as we realized we'd both been victims of something unimaginable. He moved back into our bedroom, though we keep to our sides of the bed, the reconciliation still too new and fragile. Update 4. Last night, Michael found me in Emma's reading chair after she'd fallen asleep. The anger has left him, replaced by regret and sadness. He finally told me the whole story from his perspective. How his self-confidence had plummeted over the past year. How he'd gained weight and felt depressed while I seemed to stay exactly the same. A beacon of normalcy while he felt like he was falling apart. He described how he'd started browsing forums full of men who claimed they'd been cheated on and lost everything in divorce. Men who warned each other to be vigilant, to look for signs they were being deceived. Someone posted about blue-eyed parents having a brown-eyed child, and it hit him that both of us have blue eyes, but Emma's are brown. He made his own post asking for advice, and everyone said I was definitely cheating and he should get a test without telling me. He admitted to investigating me instead of talking to me, going through my emails, our phone records, even putting spyware on my laptop. He couldn't find any evidence of an affair, so he got another test done, thinking the first was wrong. When that one was negative too, he just snapped. I should be angry about the invasion of privacy, but I'm too drained to feel anything but sad. Despite my lingering hurt, I understand he was working with the information he had. I reminded him that regardless of genetics, Emma is still ours in every way that matters. We both acknowledge the heartbreaking truth. Somewhere out there, our biological daughter is with another family who perhaps doesn't know either. Update 5. One detective, a woman named Rodriguez with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, has become our main contact. She calls every few days with updates. They've narrowed it down to 4 possibilities. 4 baby girls born within 12 hours of Emma at that hospital. They're approaching the families carefully, not wanting to cause panic. The hospital finally identified another family whose daughter was born the same day as Emma, just 3 hours apart. A week after being approached by police, we had confirmation. Their daughter is our biological child, and Emma is theirs. Meeting them was surreal. Lisa and David live just 40 minutes from us, in a neighboring suburb. They seem like normal, kind people thrown into the same nightmare. Lisa is a pediatric nurse. David teaches music at an elementary school. Their home is warm and welcoming, filled with photos of their life with a little girl who looks startlingly like me around the eyes and mouth. Their daughter, our biological daughter, is named Olivia. She has my eyes and Michael's smile, complete with his dimple on the right side. She's taller than Emma, with lighter hair and a scattering of freckles across her nose like my sister. Seeing her felt like looking at a ghost of what might have been. They showed us pictures of her life. Her as a baby, her first steps, first day of kindergarten, all the moments we had missed. My heart ached looking at them, but I also felt a strange gratitude that she had been loved, well cared for. When they saw our photos of Emma, Lisa's eyes filled with tears as she thanked us for taking such good care of her. None of us can imagine swapping back after 5 years of love and memories, but ignoring the truth isn't an option either. Lisa can't bear the thought of losing Olivia, and we feel exactly the same about Emma. It was David who first suggested there might be a third option. Update 6. We've started with supervised visits, allowing the girls to meet as friends while we adults figure out what to do. Emma and Olivia got along immediately, oblivious to the biological connection they share. They both love drawing and have the same favorite ice cream flavor. Watching them play together, I feel a complex mix of joy and grief. Joy at seeing these two beautiful girls together. Grief for the 5 years Olivia hasn't been in our lives. During one visit, Lisa whispered that they could be sisters while watching them build a fort together. They are sisters, just not in the way any of us had imagined. The four of us spend hours talking after the girls are asleep, sharing our fears, hopes, and confusion. None of us has a roadmap for this situation. We talk about custody arrangements, legal considerations, and how to preserve the girls' sense of security while acknowledging the truth. What if we could move closer to each other? Michael suggested last night. Have regular family dinners, holidays together, make sure both girls know they're loved by all of us. A sort of extended family arrangement, I agreed. It wouldn't be conventional, but nothing about this situation is. We've decided to start with joint family therapy with a therapist specializing in blended families and adoption issues. Dr. Chen has a gentle but direct approach that works well with the girls, using art therapy and play techniques to help them express their feelings. The good news, she told us adults during a private session, is that 5-year-olds are remarkably adaptable. They don't have the rigid concept of family that adults do. With proper support, they can accept and even thrive in unconventional family structures. Dr. Chen helped us craft an age-appropriate explanation for the girls. We're avoiding terms like switched at birth or wrong families that might make them feel insecure. We gathered in Dr. Chen's office with its soothing blue walls and comfortable furniture to explain the situation to them. All 4 of us parents sat together as we told them about the hospital mix-up, and when Emma asked if I wasn't her real mommy, my heart shattered. I firmly reassured her that I was and always would be her real mommy, that I had loved her every day since she was born, and that would never change. Dr. Chen gently explained that families come in different kinds, and now they would have something special, 2 sets of parents who all loved them. When Olivia asked if that meant they were like bonus parents, Lisa agreed through tears. The girls are excited to learn they share something in common. Their immediate concern is whether they can have sleepovers, not the complex implications of the situation. The simplicity of their reaction, focusing on the potential fun rather than the complex implications, brought tears to all our eyes. Final update. It's been 3 years since we discovered the switch, and our lives have settled into a new normal. The girls, now 8, are inseparable, true sisters in every sense. They have their squabbles and rivalries, but also a bond that is beautiful to witness. They have different strengths and personalities. Emma is artistic and empathetic, while Olivia is athletic and analytical. Nature and nurture intertwined in fascinating ways. Through an online forum post about our situation, we eventually connected with 2 other families who had experienced similar circumstances. We formed a support group, sharing resources and advice about navigating the legal, emotional, and practical aspects of raising children who had been switched at birth. It's comforting to know we aren't alone, that others understand our unique challenges. Michael and I continue working on our marriage, rebuilding the trust that was shattered. Weekly date nights, couples therapy, open conversations about our fears and hopes. The crisis exposed weaknesses in our relationship, but also showcased our strength and resilience. In many ways, we're closer than before, having weathered something that could have destroyed us. Our extended family situation isn't perfect. There are still occasional tensions and misunderstandings between us 4 parents, but we're committed to making it work, to providing a stable and loving environment for our daughters. One evening, as we all gather for our weekly Sunday dinner, a tradition we established early on, I look around the table at these people who have become my family through the strangest of circumstances. David is helping Emma with her science project, while Michael and Olivia set the table. Lisa catches my eye from the kitchen doorway and smiles, a look of understanding passing between us. This isn't the life I had imagined. It's messier, more complicated, filled with unexpected challenges, but it's also richer, more loving, and more rewarding than I could have anticipated. Out of a mistake that could have destroyed multiple lives, we've built something beautiful. Through it all, I've held on to one central truth. Family isn't defined by DNA. It's defined by love, by showing up every day, by fighting for each other when the unimaginable happens. It's defined by heart-shaped pancakes on Tuesday mornings, by bedtime stories with all the voices, by being the safe place someone can always return to. If you're facing an impossible situation, if your world has been turned upside down by circumstances beyond your control, know this. You can build something beautiful from the brokenness. It won't look like what you planned. It might be messy and complicated and imperfect, but it can still be wonderful.